It is very phallic in here.
Lots of nudity.
Someone has too much time on his hands.
What about Galactica 1980?
There seems to be an unhealthy obsession with men of your generation.
Spock space helmet.
His goal is to be the world's greatest air drummer.
Space vampires, they suck energy, whatever that means.
If you know an Asian girl, she has to do this.
Every time someone sits down, you hear a...
Welcome to the show. I am that Chris Gore. This is PodCRASH. This is the show where you get to hear me as a guest each week on a different podcast. You get to discover new shows. I get to talk about a variety of topics. This week I was faced with a dilemma. I could have grilled a cheeseburger outside on my new grill, or I could have recorded this podcast. I decided that I would multitask, which is something that I have discovered. I'm actually pretty good at that. I'm outside at my place in downtown L.A. grilling. I'm actually grilling a cheeseburger right now. Here, listen. Oh, it's going to be so good. It smells so good. I think this is appropriate because this is just days before the... It's not 4th of July weekend, is it? It's not 4th of July weekend. It's 4th of July midweek. So I'm going to open one of these. Did you hear that? And I'll tell you all about this week's show, the DVD Geeks podcast, which was awesome. A lot of people have asked, hey, are you going to be reviewing any DVDs? Oh, wait a sec. Here comes the train, which you're going to hear about every 5 or 10 minutes. Comes by my place. Here comes the train. Here comes the train. You hear that? It's actually kind of soothing. I have to say, living like near where a train goes by, it's different than when you hear traffic, which I think is irritating, or the sounds of jet planes landing. I'm not near any airport, but the sound of a train going by, I don't know. There's something sort of romantic about it. Here comes another one. Here comes another train. Here it comes. You're about to hear it. Anyways. So I decided that I would combine my grilling and obligation to record an episode of this show, because I'm going up pretty much every Monday now. Monday now is sort of PodCRASH Monday. So I'm just going to make myself a cheeseburger, which is, oh my God, it smells so good. It smells so good. I cannot wait. It's great. I got one of these little grills, and oh my God, it looks so good. Before we get into what I want to talk about this week, a couple of things. One, if you want to support the show and you shave anything on your body, male or female, if you shave things on your body, face, your legs, other parts, you can support the show by going to dollarshaveclub.com/Chris. You get razors every month, these really kick-ass cool kit that they send you. It's far less expensive than the higher-end razors that you get at the store. I think it's incredible. Go to dollarshaveclub.com/Chris, sign up. It's a great way to support this show, which I hope you're enjoying. I'll tell you this, I cannot wait to enjoy this cheeseburger. I have not put the cheese on yet. I'm getting to that point. Oh man, okay, about to flip. I'm about to flip the burger. Oh, did you hear that? That's the sound of... Here, this is the sound of grilling. Freshly flipped burger. Anyways, I spoke recently about going to the drive-in, and I actually took my own advice. I went to the Mission Tiki drive-in, which is kind of like the ArcLight of drive-ins in the LA area. It's in Montclair, California, and the Mission Tiki is great. Movies start at dusk. You get to see 2 movies for $7, which I think is a bargain. And I brought a cooler filled with beer. Yes, I did. I popped my own popcorn and brought out the sports chair, flipped open the back of my car, and I watched. This is the End and The Purge. Okay, This Is the End far exceeded my expectations. It's basically the end of the world. The rapture occurs just as James Franco is having a giant Hollywood party. What's cool about it is all the characters in the movie actually play themselves. Seth Rogen, Jay Baruchel, It's awesome. I don't want to ruin anything about it. Danny McBride is also fantastic in it. It's the apocalypse happens, and the whole deal is like, are you a good person or a bad person? You know, are you going to go to heaven? You go into hell? And I really enjoyed it. I spit up a beer one time. I spit up part of a beer, which I regret, but I don't regret the last. So this is the end. Highly recommend. The Purge was weird. It's sort of mixed on that, but it's basically one of those trapped in a house where you're being assaulted by, it's not zombies. It may as well have been Night of the Living Dead with conservative Republicans, but that also was something I had low expectations for, exceeded them, but still wasn't perfect. I do like that concept. I mean, it's like a simple idea. It's a movie we've seen a bunch of times. So you're trapped in a isolated location, being attacked by whatever. I thought it worked quite well. Oh wait, oh wow, this thing is getting. Is it pink inside? I still have to check. Anyway, so The Purge. It's one of those, like, I wouldn't rush to the theater to see it, but I would definitely catch it at some point. It's strange because when the mob shows up to assault the house, they're all dressed like Republican. It's weird. They that's exactly what they were going after. It's one of those. It's not a dystopian future. It's a future where basically everything is too perfect. Again, not perfect, but and enjoyed it. Oh man, this burger it's cooking faster than I thought. I gotta turn down the heat. Anyways, a lot of you have asked, like, hey, why aren't you doing, like, DVD reviews? Look, as soon as the whole gig at AOTS ended, I don't get any DVDs. I get, like, 0 DVDs. My mailbox receives nothing at this stage, which is fine. I like that because I don't have the obligation necessarily to review anything. Oh wow, I think it's time for the cheese now. I think it's at that point, which it's really close. So so I'm not getting them. It's something that I'm moving my career in a completely different direction. So I won't be doing the DVD reviews, but I did on the show DVD Geeks. Before I tell you about that, I also want to tell you another way that you can support the show is by signing up and going to GoDaddy.com, which I was just there recently. I registered CelebritiesPoop.com, which is, if you go to CelebritiesPoop.com, it will point you to a place where you can buy my comedy album, which is coming out middle of July. So go to CelebritiesPoop.com, but also if you'd like to get your own website, just go to GoDaddy.com and at checkout enter the offer code PodCRASH. You'll get a discount. It helps support the show, and I will appreciate it. Okay, let's talk about this week's Crash. I was on a show called the DVD Geeks, which is hosted by John Champion and Mary Czerwinski. She's at Televixen on Twitter. She has a lot of great tweets. Anyways, so Mary I've known for years just from going to Comic-Con and all different kinds of convention-related stuff. She's a cosplayer that's super into Star Trek. She will, on occasion, do work for Rod Roddenberry. And Mary and John do a podcast called DVD Geeks Podcast, where they talk about the latest DVD releases. I know. Why did it take me this long to get on a podcast like this? Makes a lot of sense. But both of them are extremely passionate, very knowledgeable about DVDs and films. And it's great. They have a tagline. I always end the show by saying, let's get out of here. They end their show by saying, scene selection is not a special feature, which I've pointed out in the past myself. It really annoys me. You'll see a box on a DVD and it says, special features, scene selection. Not a special feature. Not a special feature. Anyways, they had me on 2 episodes of the show, and the reason I'm running this kind of sooner than I necessarily would is because these are newer DVD releases. So one episode I was on, we talked about the DVDs that came out in the last few weeks, and the other episode was sort of a evergreen episode where I talked about different DVDs that were favorites of mine, that are DVDs you wouldn't know about unless, you were in a room and I told you about DVDs that you should know about. Anyways, it was a blast being on 2 episodes of their show. Highly recommend it. the DVD Geeks podcast. My burger's almost ready.
So, Lifeforce. This is a 1985 Tobe Hooper movie, out now in a Blu-ray edition from Shout Factory.
Thank you, Shout.
Looking gorgeous. I mean, of course, Shout Factory seems to be one of those few studios right now that is just doing everything right.
They really
get the nostalgia
They get
stuff.
it. They understand special features. Like I own many Shout Factory DVDs. They do an amazing job.
It's between them and Anchor Bay, you know, and then on the big studio scale, you have places like Universal that just don't seem to care.
Right.
Yeah.
But really, you know, Shout cares. And Lifeforce is one of those movies that is, it's a B movie. It's had a cult following. And
Space
now,
Vampires.
The Space Vampires is a working title. And essentially it is about a space shuttle crew that finds an alien craft in Halley's Comet. They bring back not only the 3 humanoids that they find on board this alien spacecraft, but one of the bat-like vampire things. And once they get back to Earth, well, things don't go so well. They start turning all of London into energy-sucking vampires. But you have Matilda May playing the unnamed female space vampire who just wanders the entire movie completely naked, looking gorgeous, looking absolutely flawlessly beautiful. And then you have a lot of special effects, a lot of explosions, a lot of death, a lot of zombies.
I feel like she could date Dr. Manhattan from Watchmen.
Yes.
They would make
That
a
would be
great
quite
couple.
the couple.
Oh my God, you're right.
They'd make a great couple.
Yeah, they would
Except
create
they could never copulate because of the size difference. But hey.
right, yeah. So, you know, I saw this movie not that long ago.
Yeah,
at
we saw it at a
Sci-Fi Fest.
Film festival.
And you can see where it has appeal as a cult movie, but then you sit there and you go, okay, well, how do we really justify this to have a life on its own?
I want to ask you, how do you feel that the film has dated? I mean, is it dated well or not so well?
It depends on what scene you're looking at.
Yeah.
I mean, it really does.
Special
it really
effects
does.
wise?
Yeah, because like, in the opening, you have the Space Shuttle Churchill, and all the effects are by John Dykstra, so it's got that going for it, all right? And this is 1985, so he's hot off the Star Wars Empire, Return of the Jedi.
Battlestar Galactica.
Yes. Which they mention in the special feature is the hit show Galactica, and I wonder what universe they were in. But
what about Galactica 1980?
Oh, how dare you! How dare you, Dr. Z?
Love it.
Yeah, you're welcome. So a lot of that stuff looks great. They did the flying effects with the astronauts coming in, looking really, really good. But then by the time you get to Earth, it kind of turns into a by-rote zombie movie. And then it just sort of, you know, runs right off the rails. So I think the best scenes in this movie are the intimate scenes with the mysterious nude space vampire.
And the crystallized people.
Yeah, exactly. All that stuff in the ship looked great, but it's very inconsistent. You know, I think that's the biggest problem here with this movie. So it doesn't date that well. And when you put on your cynical mind, your skeptical scientific mind, and you go, okay, they're space vampires, they suck energy, whatever that means, but then they leave these zombies that are powered by something that also suck energy. Where's that coming from? It's just like, we got to have a stopping point here at some point.
I remember not disliking the movie, but questioning, you know, its validity the first time around.
Yeah.
I saw it in the theaters, so I'm guessing it didn't date well. And I feel like for a movie like that, I mean, we're all sitting here. We love, all of us, Mary, you as well, especially love genre movies.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Science,
right.
But you have to have rules that you adhere to.
Exactly.
Yes.
You adhere to.
Yes.
You create the rules in this universe. And it always seems like they throw in some weird wacko rule at the very end as a way to break their own rules. So
Star Trek Into Darkness.
so they can exactly. So they can just completely, wrap up the story and whatnot. But to me, True Blood actually comes to mind just because we're in the realm of vampires.
Yeah.
And I think True Blood comes to mind where just like they're constantly adding new rules and there's new creatures and she's a fairy and it's just like it
goes off the rails.
It goes off the rails constantly to the point where I don't watch True Blood because I like it.
Just to see what they're going to do next, right?
I want to watch it to complain about it because it's so stupid.
Right.
So I'm like, how much more dumb can this show get? Because it is basically a stupid soap opera with vampires and naked werewolves and fairies and things that are ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah.
And here's the thing. This movie skirts the line between horror and sci-fi, and no one does it better than Roger Corman Corman, and of course Shout has produced a whole line of his movies. But the thing that I didn't realize, but I learned from the special features, that this was actually a big budget motion picture. It was one of
at the time.
Yeah, this cost $28 million in 1984.
And that's in 84.
I mean, that's a huge budget for this kind of movie.
So they had every advantage working for them. They shot at Pinewood, right? Didn't they say they shot at the
took up the Bond
studios?
stage.
Their cinematographer was the Bond guy.
Yeah. So
I don't understand. If it has that much going for it, why is it still schlocky, but not in like the awesome?
But it's weird. Like I do love revisiting kitschy movies.
Me too.
That I didn't like when it was first around. Like for example, the movie that comes to mind most is The Black Hole.
God, I love that movie.
Like, I love and dislove that movie. Is there such a word as dislove?
Well, but
dislike,
there is now.
The Black Hole is so flawed, but there's like stuff about the production design. It felt like it was made in the 50s.
Yes.
Which is weird, with Tony Perkins.
It's a studio picture.
It's a studio picture.
Yeah.
It's like big budget, but like cheesy. This is like post. Everyone's trying to capitalize on Star Wars. But I remember seeing that movie and being incredibly disappointed.
Yeah.
But to this day, there's something about that movie that is really charming.
It's on my DVR in HD as we speak. Because here's a movie. The Black Hole is a movie that you can look at and you can go, all right, I understand, I realize every single complaint, every single problem with this movie. I get it. And I can sit here and point out the flaws with all of you, but I still love it.
Yeah. And it's I did really love the music. And I actually,
John Barry.
On my phone, I have the disco version music of The Black Hole.
God bless you,
Chris.
Nice.
I'll play it for you. I'll play it for you.
We have the Logan's Run disco music.
Yes, right.
There's a Logan's Run disco music.
Oh, you better believe it.
Okay,
we'll give you the soundtrack.
MP3 training right now.
All right.
For sure.
So here's the thing about Lifeforce. So it's one of those movies where you can watch it and go, okay, Matilda May is gorgeous, and the effects, some are really great, some are not so great. I think you also watch this movie and you think, I really wish this movie had been remade now. Because with a little smarter, a little more skeptical view, with a, better effects, better writing, this could be such a better movie.
You know what? I'm going 2 slices of cheese on this burger. Why not? What do I have to lose? I would love to see some remakes of something like The Black Hole. I think The Black Hole deserves a remake because it was a really good idea that was not explored. It wasn't explored completely. The only thing is, I would say you got to get rid of Bob. I'm sorry, that Texas accent on a robot makes no sense. All right, back to the DVD Geeks.
Like I feel like the experience of this movie. This is a movie that I feel like for me will resonate for years. That will always be in my collection, no matter
it's a classic.
what. Yeah, it's a classic, and it's disheartening that. And I feel like, from a marketing standpoint, what could they have done better? Could you think of...
Not really. And I think this got short shrift as a Blu-ray because it didn't do well at the box office.
Right.
And it feels like all of the special features are kind of those HBO little, mini press junket kind of thing. Now, you do have a play all button, so I know we were very happy about that.
I love the play all button.
That's how I watched all the extras.
Yeah, see, there you go. But they're all very short. They're like 5 minutes each, and it's...
Tom Hanks has the best line, though.
Oh God, yes.
What was it? He was like...
I read the script and I loved it, and my agent asked me if it knew what it was about, and I said no, but I have to do this. You get that, and unfortunately, not much else. It's really unfortunate that they couldn't go over the top with this and make a super deluxe Blu-ray because it's so fascinating, and as we're doing now, this is the kind of movie that makes you want to talk about it.
Yes, yes, it's one of those where it's like it spurs conversation, and I feel like there'll be that group of people that like, so you saw Cloud Atlas?
Right.
Also, my dream is to see Sami 451 cosplay at Comic Con.
Yes. I'm like, if you know an Asian girl, she has to do this.
Sami 451. You don't have to be Asian. You can dress as Sami 452.
There you go.
I don't care.
Just gotta have that haircut.
I love that. I want to see the cosplay from it.
In the special features defense here, I like that they broke it down to how they directed the different ones because
it's 3 directors.
It's 3 directors, and they each took like what?
A segment.
A segment.
And then just kind of broke it up.
Yeah.
And they said that it took them months just to work out the shooting schedule, and
because it's the same actors for most of it.
So they had to jump around. What do you think, Chris, if they had taken this and used their Blu-ray technology and given you the option to watch each segment on its own as a complete narrative?
That's exactly what I was thinking that I would because I would love to just see. It's effectively 6 short films intercut.
Yeah.
It's 6 30-minute short films intercut.
Yeah.
So, I would love the option to I feel like there'll be the fan Blu-ray cut.
Right.
Are you making it?
I would love to do that with my spare time. When I had that. Yeah, that would have been a great feature to have. Like in the way that they did Godfather 2. There was the Godfather 2 cut where they basically took the deleted scenes from Godfather 2 and then made it a chronological.
Right.
Or no, what do they call it? The Godfather, the Complete Epic.
Yes.
Isn't that what it was? And I remember it was on VHS in a box. I had the boxed VHS set.
Wow.
Nice.
Where Godfather the Complete Epic is the Godfather story told chronologically with young Vito Corleone, Robert De Niro, and then they just put it in chronological order and then added a bunch of deleted scenes, which were now it is sort of the cheesy TV miniseries version of Godfather. But I'd love to see something like that done with this, and also commentary and special features that live up to the movie, because I feel like this movie is so special. It's so brilliant. It's one of those movies that is a litmus test for people that will be my friends or will never that will not be my friends.
Again, how I feel about Stoker.
So and to our listeners, I mean, if you're hearing us go on and on and on about this movie, Cloud Atlas, and like me, you kind of vaguely are aware of the marketing.
Well, you know what? It got overshadowed by Skyfall. They came out like the same month.
Please do yourself a favor and watch
Q
this
is in
movie.
both of them.
Oh yeah, Ben Whishaw. Yeah, it was fantastic. This movie, you could have had a sit down round table with a bunch of philosophers to talk about this movie. It stands up to it that
smart.
well.
It does, and the Wachowskis are very much into philosophical debates, discussions, and as much as I know people despised the second and third Matrix films, I don't know. Looking back on them, they're not as bad as people said.
Right.
And I do feel like they were taking a bigger risk by not going the way that the audience would have wanted. They wanted to probably see Neo in the Matrix be a superhero. Basically be like Superman, and he becomes a superhero and this, and punching and destroying. But it's like they went a completely different way. And I think looking back, because I recently watched them, the Matrix film, recently rewatched all three. And I thought, well, at the time it really bothered me the way that they cut the films up, and they sort of leave that sort of lame ass cliffhanger. And now I think, it's not as bad as I thought, and I feel like at least it spurred discussion.
Cool.
Absolutely. And at least there wasn't a makeup special feature. They were trying to hide that under the rug.
All right. So finally, you guys are going to have to sell me on this.
I don't know if I'm going to be able to sell you on this.
All right. Well, I'll read the tagline.
It's going to be a death
here.
match.
26 directors, 26 ways to die. It's the ABCs of death. And
comes to us from Magnet.
Magnolia.
No, Magnet.
Oh, you're right. Oh, there we go.
And Magnolia, apparently.
And Magnolia,
We're both right.
Who doesn't love Magnolia?
So,
exactly.
a small horror film here where we have...
but a massive undertaking.
Yeah, but it is, as it sounds, for every letter of the alphabet,
there's a way to die.
You have a short film based around a way to die about that film. So what's the deal here?
Well, I think this is an interesting tie-in to Cloud Atlas, only in the sense that, here's a successful example of what you can do with, a co-production, having multiple directors, multiple actors, different vignettes, and then a not-so-successful attempt at doing...
Having multiple directors.
Exactly. But you might beg to differ, Mr. Chris Gore.
Well, Mary, I have a different opinion.
Do tell, as you stroke your beard.
I happen to love ABCs of Death. Okay, let me sell you.
Well, you love lowbrow. So.
I do. I like some lowbrow stuff. You like lowbrow stuff as well.
I do. I like smart lowbrow, though.
Here's what I liked about this. It's an anthology movie, and I love anthology horror.
Me too. I'm huge into Tales from the Dark Side and Creepshow.
All that stuff, Creepshow. Yeah, I love anthology movie. This was an ambitious anthology movie. Because
Indeed, I will give you that.
Every letter of the alphabet. And they were given 26 directors were given a letter of the alphabet.
From different countries, I might add. Different languages.
All over the world. And then they were told you could have that letter stand for anything. And what I loved about it is, first of all, I'm disappointed I didn't see this in the theater. Because it would be so much fun.
It would definitely be a midnight movie.
Some of them are animated, some are funny, some are not funny. Some are grotesque and gross.
Some are pervy.
Horrific. Some are pervy. Some have lots of nudity. But all of them, are going to be over in 2 or 3 minutes. And this is what makes it great, because
that's what makes it watchable.
That's what's watchable. And what's cool is it became for me like a guessing game, because I'm watching the film going Oh, I wonder what A stands for.
Right.
Oh, I wonder what B stands. I wonder what C stands for. And thankfully, F stands for fart.
Yes.
I can tell you
I'm
confidently
so
because
glad you mentioned that.
I wrote down every single
You were
one.
sitting here with a list.
Oh,
of all of them.
list.
Yeah, good. Oh, now
Thank
wait a
you
minute,
for
wait a
that.
minute. And then you did rankings.
No. Here's what I did.
okay.
I ranked the ABCs of death based on my favorites, and I reordered
Wow.
the alphabet.
Wow.
This is how anal retentive my
Someone
my,
has too much time on his hands.
No, I'm watching it and I'm like, okay, after every single one was over, they had these like little children's blocks
Yeah.
that would say, A is for
Which I thought was cool.
apocalypse, right? Or
They're not
B
always
is
the
for-
obvious
They're not
choice.
always the obvious choice. Some of them they go against choice.
They're not always F for fart, right?
Right, yeah. H is for hydroelectric diffusion. I had guessed that it was for Hitler. I was wrong.
Oh,
So some of these are really, and then some are in foreign words. For example, Z is for Zetsumetsu,
Right.
which stands for extinction in Japanese. So I really liked how they used that conceit.
Yeah.
A good friend of mine, John Schnepp, actually, who's a director on the animated show, Adult Swim show Metalocalypse, he did the W. W was his letter, and that one becomes very self-reflexive because
Yeah.
it starts with this weird animated sequence and then goes to him discussing with Tommy Blacha like
Wait, is he the one behind the desk going like,
he's
what are we
behind
going
the
to do
desk
with
going
W?
like, what should we do with W?
Yeah.
It could stand for werewolf, whore, witch, warlock.
Right. I
he
like
doesn't
that
know what
one.
and then it ends up being, it stands for WTF.
WTF.
Yes.
What,
Yeah.
WTF.
Yeah.
So,
It totally blew your mind of like what it could be.
so I re-ranked the alphabet.
All right.
If I might read the alphabet.
Please.
based on my rankings.
Absolutely,
Please.
go for it.
My rankings of ABCs of death go in this order: WLQZV, HD, NFA, JRTS, ICU, MXOK, BGPY.
Well, let me ask you this, Chris. What is your favorite special feature? Like the one thing you look for and is kind of missing nowadays? For me, it's Easter eggs. I think Easter
love
eggs
Easter
are
eggs.
seriously lacking.
Not as many Easter eggs as there used to be.
Like the Fight Club special edition, the tan packaging that you can't get anymore, the double disc,
Yeah.
had the cool Easter egg with the ads for all the stuff in his apartment. No? You don't remember that? That was a pretty sweet one.
I love how the Fight Club DVD starts with it looks like it's some really crappy romantic comedy
right.
with Drew
Right.
Barrymore.
Yes. Right.
And then and it goes to Fight Club.
I dig that kind of thing.
I love
My
that.
favorite DVD or Blu-ray rather of last year was The American Girl with the Dragon Tattoo because they made it look like it was a bootleg.
It was
so cleverly
oh my
done.
God, now I want to buy that one.
Yeah.
One of my favorite actually DVD special features, which is I love when people get creative with stuff. I tried to do that when I produced my own DVD for my Big Fat Independent Movie.
Plug.
Yeah,
I know I'm plugging.
Go get it.
Okay, go
It was a
for it.
movie that I produced and co-wrote and produced, and there's a special feature on the DVD called My Big Fat Independent Movie: The Theatrical Experience. What it is you switch to that track, you watch the movie, and it's like you're watching the movie in a theater. So there's a crying baby. There's people talking. You hear cell phones going off.
man.
You hear people applauding and people
that's great.
laughing and people it's basically like you're watching the movie in a shitty rundown theater.
Right.
And I call it the theatrical experience. But one of my favorite sort of extensions of that is Wet Hot American Summer.
Yes.
Oh,
They
yeah,
did
yeah.
a DVD feature where you could. It's basically a track where you can just hear fart jokes.
Yes.
So it's like every time someone sits down, you hear
Right.
you hear
Right.
farts. Every single time someone does something, they stand up. They're weird fart noises. So it's basically watching the same comedy that you've already seen, Wet Hot American Summer, but with way more fart jokes.
Which we know from the last episode you love.
I love farts. Yes, we have discussed farts.
You're a simple man, easy to please.
Yes.
It's kind of like the special edition of Galaxy Quest. Do you remember they did a whole commentary track, but it was in the alien language? So it was just.
We love the invention of the. Oh, I love
The whole thing
Yes,
was that.
I love that movie.
Yeah.
Do you know that movie was originally written for the cast of Star Trek?
I was going to say, it's the best Star
the
Trek
best Star
film
Trek,
that's
yeah.
not really Star
Yeah.
Trek, but it is even more.
Better than Into Darkness. We'll
Indeed.
talk about it another time.
I think
So
some of
basically,
the other.
you're saying you love useless special features.
Well, that was pretty useless, but I will tell you the useful.
They're creative.
They're
I like it.
creative.
It's very creative.
I like
Yeah.
in-universe special features.
It's easy
Yeah.
to do. It's easy to do do like interviews. It's easier to do
the talking head.
BTS or behind the scenes.
Right.
Is what they call.
Ooh, the lingo.
Yeah. So that's fine. Commentary, I like. What I love is like creative commentary. For example, I'm wondering if this is on the new Blu-ray edition of The Matrix, but I remember when The Matrix came out on DVD initially, I'm talking about the Matrix trilogy.
Right.
Yeah.
They gathered a bunch of critics who hated the movie and had them do a commentary. Now, I love that because I love stuff like
Why
that.
not engage your enemies?
And with, not to plug my Big Fat Independent Movie again, which I personally
Please do it.
And I there's Easter eggs on every page of the special edition.
Nice.
One of the Easter eggs is you basically would just sort of move the cursor to the right, and you'd always find the Easter egg. It made it easy, and the title of it was "Typical Independent Film Distribution Deal," and it was a guy being done from behind. Is that? Can I say that? Can I say
You
that?
said it
You
pretty
just said it. I think you did.
tactfully.
Very tactful.
So that, over and over and over again, and that was a typical independent film distribution, among other things. But I love when there's a creative use of this fits it's organic to the film itself. I think that's what you were.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And we have some good ones here, but we'll get into that.
We do. I was just going to mention like another one I like is the commentary on Showgirls done by the guy who wrote the big article about Showgirls, the best movie ever made. This is very funny. He's obviously just ripping it to shreds, but he's doing the commentary.
Well, I like when they get experts in certain categories, certain like military experts, like on some of the Oliver Stone DVDs. Like military experts just do a military commentary, just looking at it purely from that standpoint. I like those kinds of things because I feel like I learn a lot. It's almost in a way they're like podcasts.
They are.
I mean, I sometimes feel like the filmmakers are too close to the projects that it becomes all anecdotal. Like, oh, I remember that day.
Right.
So and so had gas or whatever it is.
One of my favorite directors who does DVD commentary is Steven Soderbergh.
Oh, yeah.
Because he begins every DVD commentary with. He actually does his commentary with the screenwriter. Always, which screenwriters I think always get short shrift in Hollywood.
Yeah, for
Anyways,
sure.
they're not particularly respected, unfortunately. And he'll always do the commentary with the screenwriter and begin the commentary with, "And now another episode of two white guys talking about movies." So listen to your Steven Soderbergh commentary. You will not be disappointed.
Cool.
Well,
He's
for
amazing.
me, I like when film critics do commentaries, like when we had Roger Ebert do the Citizen Kane and some of the others, because they see it from a different perspective, from the audience's perspective, and also from just a film knowledge perspective, and they contribute something totally different.
And it's a little obvious. I mean, we give a lot of praise on our show to Criterion
Or Kino.
or Kino, but
right, those guys.
they're all good, yeah. But recently, whenever Criterion has been doing stuff that is just completely out of the time range of the original film, all the Chaplin stuff, Harold Lloyd, we just talked about, Safety Last. They really do have to be creative about what they put on the Blu-ray or DVD as a special feature. You can't go back and interview those guys. What I love, particularly on what was the Chaplin film? It's not The Great Dictator. It's not Modern Times.
The Gold Rush.
No, not the Gold Rush. No, he's roller skating with Paulette Goddard.
That was not Modern Times?
It was not Modern. No, it was Modern Times. You're absolutely right. It was Modern Times.
Called out.
But here's the thing: they do special features about the special effects of Chaplin or of Harold Lloyd on Safety Last, and you watch that and you're like, okay, they're revealing all these tricks in a way that you would have never thought to even talked about 80 years ago when these movies were made, but you still get to watch the movie with fresh eyes, and you still get to be amazed that those effects even are pulled off as well as they are. I love stuff like that. I love going back to the original locations of the Chaplin films and the Harold Lloyd films. That stuff blows me away.
For sure.
You really have to be good at it. You have to be knowledgeable, and you have to be creative.
Well, let me ask you this. What are your pet peeves on DVDs? Mine is the no play all.
Yeah,
You don't have a play all
that's your
button. I'm
ultimate
like
pet
totally
peeve.
turned off. And
Yeah.
also I don't like when they advertise certain things as special features. You know, our tagline is scene selection is not
Right.
a special feature. When interactive menus or
Yeah.
galleries are, I mean, some galleries can be really cool, but in general, they're usually pretty lame.
I think, I don't know if you guys will agree with me, I think the whole BD Live thing is nonsense.
I don't think it
Yes.
works as well
Yeah.
as they
Yes.
intended.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was pie in the sky, thinking
Yeah.
that people would participate. It was sort of like basically what it was a fallback to thinking like, well, we'll just put it on BD Live. Although I have to say, this is how nerdy I am. There was a BD Live discussion with Christopher Nolan, who famously post Memento has not done commentary for any of his DVDs. He did a commentary for Following.
I love Following.
He did a commentary for Memento. I don't know if he did commentary for that horrible movie with Al Pacino and Robin Williams. He was sort of figuring out the how to deal with the studio at that point.
Right.
But so Christopher Nolan never did a commentary for any of the Batman films. Of
Right.
course, you know I'm a big Batman fan.
As we
Just
sit here in the
looking
room
around.
surrounded by
Yeah.
Batman stuff.
Well,
Yeah.
who would have a William Shakespeare bust? Who pulls back to reveal a secret
Bat phone.
bookshelf
Right.
with poles labeled Bruce and Dick? Anyways,
It is very phallic in here, by the way.
so Chris Nolan did a BD Live conversation for The Dark Knight,
Cool.
and I screen captured the entire conversation.
Oh, wow.
So I have about 2,000 photographs from a screen capture of the BD Live conversation with Chris Nolan, because it's the closest we will ever get
Sure.
to
Right.
seeing
Sure,
a
yeah.
commentary for The Dark Knight, because he famously doesn't do deleted scenes. He doesn't do bloopers.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because out of respect for the actors,
Yeah.
which I understand. At the same time, love to see some bloopers.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
Because, well, maybe it's also because Chris Nolan, his movies tend to be somewhat humorless.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
there's a humor in it.
Yeah.
But I almost think begrudgingly.
But
Right.
those are my favorite blooper reels, like on horror
Right.
movies or something that's so tense.
Right.
Because it lets out all the steam from those tense moments to see the actors break a smile.
And
Like on the Enterprise DVDs. When you
Oh,
see
yeah.
Jolene Blaylock, who is the key Vulcan,
Yeah.
smile and crack up. I don't know. It just brings
gives
It's
some...
fun to see
personality.
those maybe
Yeah.
later. Maybe not in the
Not in
initial
the
DVD
moment,
release.
yeah.
Maybe like the 5-year or 10-year anniversary edition,
Sure.
whatever.
Right.
But I actually screen captured all of the entire conversation of the BD Live of Chris Nolan talking about The Dark Knight, and someone
Wow.
proposed to his girlfriend during it.
Wow.
And Chris Nolan admitted to drinking, I forget what kind of beer. He drank a respectable beer, unlike myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of movies that DVDs that are released that don't have DVD commentaries. I think, what's the point? You know, why are you putting it? I mean, there's so, especially something like Cloud Atlas really needed to have a DVD commentary. All right, when this train goes by, after this train goes by, back to the DVD Geeks podcast.
Well, and I don't know if this will be interesting to any of you, but I'm going to have one on the air
All right.
for
So
the first
what-
time
what-
ever.
what- while you're
You need to chew into the microphone.
No pressure.
While you're choking down the first one, Chris, because you mentioned it as a child. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, okay.
Because
I
it'll
can
take
dig
you a
in.
while to get through that.
Let's
Yeah.
listen. Wait, let's chew.
All right. A little chewier than I expected.
Yeah.
Kind of the consistency of a Tootsie Roll. Mm-hmm. A little chalky.
Right.
It does taste a lot like a Power Bar.
Yeah.
I'm having the traditional chocolate one, by the way, but they do come in peanut butter.
Yeah.
It's hard to chew this. Wow. I don't hate it.
Okay.
I feel like you guys hyped it up a bit. But no, it's enjoyable. It's chewy.
All right.
But no.
It's very chewy.
Yeah, I don't like peanut butter, so I will leave those to you guys.
Okay.
But I don't think it's very conducive to talking on the radio, so
is
I will
not
only
at all.
have half of this and
Okay.
put it away. But no, not bad at all.
All right. Do you
Well,
remember?
as our test subject,
Do you remember the Spock helmet that they sold in I think it was the early 70s. It was before the Mego line of toys. It was like this horrible looking generic space helmet that had like a a light on the top. It looked like a roller from a cop car.
I don't remember this at all.
It was the dumbest looking thing.
I
should know this because I know what
so dumb.
I know
looking.
what Mego is.
Of course, you know all those figures.
Of course,
you know.
I remember the figures.
Yeah. I'm going to look this up while you guys are talking. We're going to start talking about our first movie.
We should get to the
Adventures of Power. Why don't you set it up for us?
No, but I do have to ask because there seems to be this unhealthy obsession with men.
Bite of the
Yes,
fist.
please.
Go ahead. Yeah. Get into the space food bar. Yeah.
There seems to be an unhealthy obsession with men of your generation.
Yeah.
With all kinds of
collectively,
things.
with the band Rush. Tell me,
yeah.
like between Adventures of Power, our first title.
Wait,
and
by the way,
Geek Picks.
here's the Star Trek helmet with Spock.
Oh my
written on
God.
it.
But here's
I do
why,
remember it.
Yeah.
Here's why I know about this. Our good friend at Super Spock on Twitter put my face in that. He photoshopped my face in that when I was trying to campaign to play Dr. Elizabeth Daner in the J.J. Abrams. And so that picture's floating around for you guys who want to
if you
Google
search
it.
Spock space helmet, you'll find that.
Yes.
All right, so back to Rush, back to Adventures of
between
Power.
Adventures of Power and, what was it, Role Models?
Yeah.
There's just Role Models, or was it another movie that's like Role Models? Where the guys are obsessed with
We're
Rush.
obsessed with Rush. I thought it was Role Models.
It's probably
but it might
Role
be
Models.
something else.
Our audience is probably going to send us hate
Yeah,
mail
yeah.
correcting
We'll
us,
figure
but
it out.
hey.
Yeah.
But there is this obsession with Rush, and in Adventures of Power, we have a young man in a small town who never got to actually have a drum set because his father was controlling, and so there he becomes an expert air drummer.
His goal is to be the world's greatest air drummer.
Yeah.
Yes.
You got to have goals.
But it is one of those movies that the tone of it is like one of those 1980s go for your dream type of
Totally.
movies, like Flashdance.
Full of montages that
full
just
of-
inspire you.
Inspirational montages and power, and it's directed by a guy named Ari Gold.
Not
the character from Entourage, an actual person named Ari Gold, who is he's one of the filmmakers I personally really admire. He did a short film at Sundance, which you can actually find on YouTube. You can find it on YouTube now using my Wi-Fi. Called Culture. It's 1 minute long, and it is a brilliant short film called Culture. And he made another great film called Helicopter about the death of his mother, which is an incredibly brilliant, inspired, passionate film. He's one of like the indie filmmakers that is a hero of mine. And Adventures of Power is sort of an ode to those 80s go for your dream movies.
Yeah.
But a guy who just wants to be the world's greatest air drummer. And what's funny is it ends in a competition where he battles, I think it's like the name of the character is like Dallas Houston.
Yes.
Is the name of the character, played by Adrian Grenier from
Speaking of Entourage.
Entourage, like the guy from, the guy from Entourage.
The dreamy one.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And they're in this battle to be the world's greatest air drummer. And it is fun. And then Neil Peart's in it, does a cameo.
Yes.
From Rush.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's an awesome movie, an awesome DVD.
Tons of cameos, like
Tons of
Jane
cameos.
Lynch and
like great cameos.
Michael McCain.
Just like production value is awesome, funny, very self-aware. Like the movie knows what it is.
Mm-hmm.
The great thing too, the extras, the DVD commentary was recorded in his car because he had to pull over. And like basically he's watching the movie on his laptop in his car and recording the commentary.
Wow.
Ari Gold is just one of those like real indie filmmakers who's no BS, who I admire, who I wish just someone would give gobs of money to and he could make a movie every year.
Yeah.
I'll say that, I had never heard of this, and Adventures of Power, it's kind of weird. Like it shares a lot of DNA with the Christopher Guest movies.
Yes.
Certainly because you have Michael McKean and Jane Lynch in it. So if you like those movies, you'll probably like this. It shares a lot of DNA with Napoleon Dynamite.
Yeah.
Just because you have this nerdy anti-hero who's...
Kind of looks like him.
Yeah, it kind of looks a little like him. But it just seems to hit all the right notes. And there's another movie I don't know if you know about called The FP. Fraser Park. It was made
It's about the
locally.
Dance Revolution.
The DDR, yeah.
That has definitely a darker edge to it. Right. But what I love about movies like that, and I think this hits what you're saying about those 80s movies, they have such an earnestness where everything in the lives of these people revolve around this one specific thing. And for Power, that is the name of the character, Power, it's all about air drumming. And everything that he encounters is about air drumming. In the FP, everything they encounter is about dancing, and I just love that because you can't have that experience anywhere other than in a movie, where you just totally construct this world that fits the characters.
And it's not the Hollywood wink, wink, nudge, nudge, we're in on the joke kind of thing.
Right.
I don't like that.
Right.
This is very honest and still quotable and over-the-top funny.
Yeah.
But it so believes and invests in the world that it's in.
Yeah.
And I love that, like, the big air drumming competition is not in, like, the big city, New York. It's in Newark. And Newark is, like, this trash.
Yeah, it looks awful.
I love that he gets beat down by Tim and Eric Awesome.
Tim and Eric from the Tim and Eric Awesome Show. That's a great little bit you get in the deleted scenes. Let's talk about those deleted scenes. There's a lot.
Yeah.
There's no play all button.
I know.
But with this,
I know. I can overlook it because it is such a homegrown DVD operation.
Oh, it very much
Like, you
is.
can tell he's promoting it at every cost. Like,
Yeah.
each little segment, it seems like it's something from the internet that he had out there just like on YouTube or whatever,
Yeah.
just to get people to go see it at a film festival
Yeah.
or you know,
Yeah.
get it online, wherever he could get it. But no, the thing I liked about it was they actually have Neil Peart in the
Yes.
special features
Yes.
doing a air drumming competition with him, but he's playing real drums, and then
Yes.
Ari Gold
Yes.
is doing air drumming of Tom Sawyer
Yeah.
side by side.
Yeah.
And Ari Gold wins.
Yes.
Well, that's it for this week's Crash. I really want to thank John Champion and Mary Czerwinski. They were amazing. It's one of those things where we recorded 2 episodes of the show, but we were talking for like an hour before. We were having some drinks, and for an hour after. Just, you know, they're like me in the sense that, like, when you're passionate about something, I can't stop talking about it. And DVD and film is a huge passion of mine, obviously. So the conversation, I wish we'd recorded all that stuff. That would have been great. Why didn't I do that? I should have thought of that. Anyways, you can follow John at DVD Geeks, get more information about the podcast. You can follow Mary, and she's hilarious and sends out a lot of hot pictures. I'm going to warn you, a lot of hot and sexy cosplay-related photos with her adventures. She's at Televixen on Twitter, and you can also get more information at dvdgeeks.tv. I'm going to enjoy this burger that I'm so glad I did this. I decided to do the multitasking. I'm going to do this again in the future. Oh my God, I have to have a bite of this. This is going to be great. Oh my God. Nothing better than like a burger you just grilled yourself. So I hope you guys enjoy your 4th of July midweek, whatever, because I'm going to. I'm going to be going to a couple of barbecues. Just a couple of reminders. PodCRASH, you can see live at the San Diego Comic-Con on Thursday, July 18th, 7 p.m., room 25 ABC. We'll be having Adrian Curry as a guest, Yoshi Abayashi from the podcast Yoshi Didn't, Stephen Kramer Glickman, comedian, a friend of mine. We're all friends who are on my podcast. It's going to be great. And some surprises. Maybe some Comic Book Live people will be showing up. And so if you're going to Comic-Con in San Diego, please check that out. It's going to be awesome. You get more information at facebook.com/podcrash. So if you're at Comic-Con, definitely come by. Also, I'm going to be having a gathering on Friday, July 19th at around 8:30 p.m. I'm having a album release party for Celebrities Poop, which you can get more information at celebrittiespoop.com, which will be set up in like a week or so. So check that out. The pre-sales of the book/album will be set up in the next week or so. I'm really excited for people to I mean, this has been a project long in the making, and I can't wait to tell you. I'm going to tell you more about it after it's out. There's a lot of interesting things about this album. And a couple other reminders. PodCRASH is part of the Sideshow Network. You can go to sideshownetwork.tv, get more information there. You can go to, there's actually an app. And we just came out with the iPad app for PodCRASH. So there's an app for iPad, iPhones, OS stuff, and Android. I have to take another bite of this burger. I'm drooling while I'm actually drooling while I'm trying to talk to you. Oh my God. Oh, it's so good. So get the iPad app, the Android app, and the Google Play Store. Check that out. You can follow on Twitter at PodCRASH Show. Follow me at that Chris Gore. Oh my God, it's so good. I did 2 slices of cheese. 2 slices of cheese, I think, is the way to go. Wow, I have not done that in a while. Okay. Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/podcrash. Go to iTunes if you like the show. Please give us a 5-star review. I feel like if you feel PodCRASH deserves it, 5-star reviews. Maybe not for this episode because I'm eating during the episode, which is probably rude. And I have these chips, earthquake chips. These are, they're basically spicy. Oh my God. They're so good. Hopefully you're listening to this while you're having your own 4th of July barbecue or setup or something. You're getting ready for 4th of July. Hopefully that is happening, because this has got to be incredibly irritating. Oh man. Oh my God. So good. I really want to thank you for listening every week to this show. There's a lot of podcasts out there. And you can listen to those. Or you can listen to just one podcast, where you can listen also to a lot of other podcasts while you listen to one podcast, which would be this podcast, PodCRASH. So thank you for that. Have a great 4th of July midweek. And as I always love to say, let's get out of here.
It'll be much less terrifying if you just come to me.
I'll do just that.
If you're still listening to this, you're probably a lot like me. You like to barbecue. You like to drink beer while you barbecue, and you like to be the grill master. And if you like to be the grill master at the barbecue and hold a beer and get covered in sweat and grease and smoke from the grill, then you and I are a lot alike, and I like you, and for that you shall be rewarded. Send a self-addressed stamped envelope to PodCRASH with that Chris Gore, 5042 Wilshire Boulevard, PMB 1500, Los Angeles, California, 90036. You'll receive the PodCRASH fan club kit absolutely free. That's all. It's free for doing nothing, just sending in a self-addressed stamped envelope. And I also give away the fan club kits to anyone that shows up to our live show, which you should totally come to our live show at Comic-Con in San Diego on, what is that? That's Thursday, July 18th. Get more information at facebook.com/podcrash. And one last thing. Here's a bonus piece of audio, which you get just for continuing to listen. And I thank you for that. All right. Later.
Here's the other category this DVD fits into, which is what I like to call the room clearer. Which is when you have, say, relatives over that you want to leave, put on this DVD.
Okay.
If there's someone if you're on a date and it's not going well, put on this DVD. If there's a buddy of yours that's come over and he's drinking all your beer and you want him to leave, put on this DVD. Whatever you do, put on this DVD if you want someone to leave.